Hello, everybody. So I've been doing some reading about this whole thing, and I think it might be time just to the dust has settled a little bit. So maybe let's just kind of try and break this down and go, what the hell happened? Why did the Syrian government collapse so quick? Because the whole thing is once again kind of bizarre, and it kind of defies any sort of easy explanation to how things collapsed. Because there's a whole bunch of like minor explanations for things that went wrong or things that were going wrong, but none of them, or even all of them together, don't really seem to provide a satisfactory explanation. Because when we start to look at it, I mean, this is a war that's been going on since what, 2011? And it's been back and forth. There's been multiple phases of it. Assad looked like he was in really bad positions before, but he managed to go through. So how did everything go bad so quick? Like this is what the map looked like a month ago. Um, as you can see, Assad had managed to basically, it looks like from a territorial point of view, win the Syrian civil war. The vast majority of the country, at least the populated areas, were under his control. The Kurds were his frenemies. The Kurds weren't pro-Turkey at any rate. So how did it go so bad, so quick? I'm going to talk about some of the theories that I've seen. Uh, I think maybe we'll start off with some of the kind of external theories that I think contributed before we get into the theory that I actually think is what happened. Um, so I was gonna do this as a video. I don't know. It's just lately I've been having trouble sitting down and recording. I don't know. I find streaming can be easier a lot of the time. Uh, just because it's more like having a conversation. I just gotta grab some water, and we will start. Okay, hey everybody. I just was giving a brief introduction, and it normally takes people a couple minutes to show up, so I was just grabbing some water. So, like I said, the issue is there's a lot of contributing factors, but the immediate cause just doesn't seem enough, which is the northwestern Syrian offensive. I mean, the northwestern Syrian offensive was a big deal, but it's not as if the Assad government hasn't faced offensives like that in the past. It's not as if there hasn't been an active civil war going on. Um, it, it just seems weird, and I think most of us would tend to agree with that. is just how rapid it was. Because once again, it's a civil war that went on for what 13 years, I think it was, and it just ended in 11 days. So we'll get to what I actually think is the reason in a minute. But to start off with, let's just start talking about some of the contributing factors. Because once again, it's a civil war that went on for what? I don't. So I think the number one thing is I don't really know if Assad was or the Syrian government was ever able to really do anything with their victory in the civil war. I mean, if you look at it, they managed to retake most of the country, but I don't really know if they had much of a plan going forward from there. Yeah, that was just Rain. She was just sitting on the back of my chair. Um, what was I saying again? Uh, Curse you, Rain. You distract me when I'm trying to stream. I have to pay for your kibble somehow. Um, is I don't know if they ever really were able to like had a plan going forward for after the Civil War. Like it largely that the large scale fighting of it ended back, and I think it was 2016 or 2017 when Russia came in and more or less saved the day. But I think there was really no real path forward after that. I mean, Syria's oil was occupied by the United States. They were still getting regularly attacked by Israel. The sanctions were never lifted. The not just the oil, but Syria's, I believe, its main agricultural production was also overrun by the U.S. and the Kurds were squatting on a bunch of it. Also, just the war never could be finally over because of the parts of the country that were being occupied by Turkey. So the Assad government, I think, was just never able to really consolidate it or come up with any sort of plan, like path forward in order to rebuild Syria. Like, does anybody even remember them trying to come up with or presenting a plan to rebuild Syria? I can't really think of one. To be honest, it's like what like honestly like what are they going to do with the economy at this point in time? Um, Now, I had heard rumors that Russia offered to rebuild Syria, but it would basically turn it into an economic colony of Russia. Was the offer that Putin had made? That it would they would give them like a whole bunch of money. They'd help them rebuild, but Syria would have to provide all kinds of economic concessions to Russian companies. The Russian companies would have to, um, what else is it? Russian companies, they would have to set up their economy in a way to export stuff to Russia, all those kind of things, and basically just become even more of a client state. And Assad decided to turn that better. Like, what even is Syria's economy? Does anybody even know? Like, it's just it was a mess. Who would want to invest in a war that could flare up again every any minute, where there's no stability, where the government's incredibly corrupt and incompetent, where there's not even really a functional government in a lot of places? It just kind of entered this purgatory, this limbo after the end of the civil war, where there was really not much I think Assad could do. I feel like a lot of it was kind of him just sitting around and waiting for something external to change. Now, his one big success post Civil War was reconciling with the various Arab monarchies. So Syria was readmitted into the Arab League. Saudi Arabia and all those guys who tried to overthrow him, he was able to reconcile with them. He was able to get them to kind of be on his side or at least stop funding the opposition. So it seemed like Assad had largely come to some sort of agreement with the Gulf states. Obviously, Saudi Arabia, UAE, all those kind of guys. Part of that is also the rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Really transformed a lot of how Middle Eastern politics works. because now that the two aren't openly at least trying to kill one another, it gives Iran a much freer hand when dealing with a lot of its proxies, be that Hezbollah or Syria. So I don't think like there was really a plan to how to get the country out of it. I think, and this is being generous. So the other aspect of it is the Turkey situation. So Assad had apparently actually been friends with Erdogan prior to the civil war. Him and Erdogan had kind of been friends. I think they went on vacation together. And then when the civil war started, Erdogan snaked him. By the way, people were asking about the cat. Here's some pictures of Rain. Here's a couple of pictures I took of her the other day. Isn't she adorable? She has very big eyes. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so Erdogan and him were like friends. They seemed to be getting along. But when the Syrian civil war started, Erdogan does what Erdogan does, and he immediately snaked him and started backing the groups trying to overthrow him. Now, the thing you have to understand about Erdogan is a snake. Erdogan is what we politely would call a backstabbing cocksucker. If there is a single penny more to be gained by turning on you, by selling you out, by going back on a deal, Erdogan will do that. He is infamous from that. To my understanding, Putin personally despises him because he thinks he's a snake, which he is. Um, so in order to end the Syrian civil war, and to finish the last part of it off, Assad would have had to come to some sort of agreement with Erdogan to get him to stop protecting northwestern Syria. Now, the problem with doing that is what was I saying? Sorry. If I'm like sounding too incoherent or tired, let me know. Just because I can do this stream tomorrow. Um, you know what? I think I'll just do this stream tomorrow. My brain is a little tired. My bus kind of got derailed, so I was got home